The Gang of Four was the name given to a political faction composed of 4 Chinese Communist Party officials. They came to prominence during the Cultural Revolution and were subsequently charged with a series of treasonous crimes. The members consisted of Mao Zedong's last wife Jiang Qing, the leading figure of the group, and her close associates Zhang Chunqiao, Yao Wenyuan, and Wang Hongwen. The Gang of Four controlled the power organs of the Communist Party of China through the latter stages of the Cultural Revolution, although it remains unclear which major decisions were made by Mao Zedong and carried out by the Gang, and which were the result of the Gang of Four's own planning. The Gang of Four, together with disgraced General Lin Biao, were labeled the 2 major counter-revolutionary forces of the Cultural Revolution and officially blamed by the Chinese government for the worst excesses of the societal chaos that ensued during the 10 years of turmoil. Their downfall on October 6, 1976, a mere month after Mao's death, brought about major celebrations on the streets of Beijing and marked the end of a turbulent political era in China. Formation: the group was led by Jiang Qing, and consisted of 3 of her close associates, Zhang Chunqiao, Yao Wenyuan, and Wang Hongwen. 2 other men who were already dead in 1976, Kang Sheng and Zai Fuzzy, were named as having been part of the gang. Chen Boda and Mao Yuanxin, the latter being Mao's nephew, were also considered some of the gang's closer associates. Most Western accounts consider that the actual leadership of the Cultural Revolution consisted of a wider group, referring predominantly to the members of the Central Cultural Revolution Group. Most prominent was Lin Biao, until his purported flight from China and death in a plane crash in 1971. Chen Boda is often classed as a member of Lin's faction rather than Jiang Qing's role. The removal of this group from power is sometimes considered to have marked the end of the Cultural Revolution, which had been launched by Mao in 1966 as part of his power struggle with leaders such as Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping and Peng Sen. Mao placed Jiang Qing, who before 1966 had not taken a public political role, in charge of the Counter-Euro unregistered trademark cultural apparatus. Zhang, Yao and Wang were party leaders in Shanghai who had played leading roles in securing that city from Mao during the Cultural Revolution. Around the time of the death of Lin Biao, the Cultural Revolution began to lose momentum. The new commanders of the People's Liberation Army demanded that order be restored in light of the dangerous situation along the border with the Soviet Union. The premier, Zhou Enlai, who had accepted the Cultural Revolution but never fully supported it, regained his authority, and used it to bring Deng Xiaoping back into the party leadership at the 10th Party Congress in 1973. Liu Shaoqi had meanwhile died in prison in 1969. Near the end of Mao's life, a power struggle occurred between the Gang of Four and the alliance of Deng Xiaoping, Zhou Enlai, and Yi Jianying. Downfall: it is now officially claimed by the Communist Party of China that Mao in his last year turned against Jiang Qing and her associates, and that after his death on September 9, 1976, they attempted to seize power. Even decades later, it is impossible to know the full truth of these events. It does appear that their influence was in decline before Mao's death. Zhou Enlai died in January 1976 and the radicals were successful in once more having Zhou's associate Deng Xiaoping purged in April. However, Zhou's successor as premier was not one of the radicals but the relatively unknown Hui Guofeng. Upon Mao's death, Hui was named Communist Party chairman as well. The radicals hoped that the key military leaders Wang Hongwen and Chen Xilian would support them, but it seems that Hui won the army over to his side. On October 6, 1976, Hui had the 4 leading radicals and a number of their lesser associates arrested. A massive media campaign was then launched against them, dubbing them the Gang of Four and blaming them for all the excesses of the Cultural Revolution. Han Suan gives a detailed account of their overthrow. An emergency session of the Politburo was to take place in the Great Hall of the People that evening. Their presence was required. Since Wang Hongwen had been their ally, they did not suspect him. As they passed through the swinging doors into the entrance lobby, they were apprehended and led off in handcuffs. A special 8341 unit then went to Madame Mao's residence at number 17 Fisherman's Terrace and arrested her. That night Mao Yuanxin was arrested in Manchuria, and the propagandists of the Gang of Four in Peking University and in newspaper offices were taken into custody. All was done with quiet and efficiency. In Shanghai, the gang supporters received a message to come to Beijing for a meeting. They came and were arrested. Thus, without shedding a drop of blood, the plans of the Gang of Four to wield supreme power were ended. Beginning on October 21, nationwide denunciations of the gang began, which culminated in the December releases of files related to the gang's alleged crimes to the public. Celebrations were prominent and not limited to the streets of Beijing and other major cities. Aftermath: immediately after the arrests, Hui Guofeng, Marshal Yu Jianying, and economic czars Chen Yun and Li Xianyan formed the core of the next party leadership. These three, together with the newly rehabilitated Deng Xiaoping and Wang Hongwen, were elected party vice-chairman at the August 1977 National Party Congress. At the Politburo level, the membership of all four living marshals, 7 other generals and at least 5 others with close military ties reflected the deep concern for national stability. Trial: in 1981, the 4 deposed leaders were subjected to a show trial and convicted of anti-party activities. During the trial, Jiang Qing in particular was extremely defiant, protesting loudly and bursting into tears at some points. She was the only member of the Gang of Four who bothered to argue on her behalf. The defense's argument was that she obeyed the orders of Chairman Mao Zedong at all times. Zhang Chunqiao refused to admit any wrong. Yao Wenyuan and Wang Hongwen expressed repentance and confessed their alleged crimes. The prosecution separated political errors from actual crimes. Among the latter were the usurpation of state power and party leadership. The persecution of some 750,000 people, 34,375 of whom died during the period 1966-76. The official records of the trial have not yet been released. Jiang Qing and Zhang Chunqiao received death sentences that were later commuted to life imprisonment, while Wang Hongwen and Yao Wenyuan were given life and 20 years in prison, respectively. All members of the Gang of Four have since died. Jiang Qing committed suicide in 1991, Wang Hongwen died in 1992, and Yao Wenyuan and Zhang Chunqiao died in 2005, having been released from prison in 1996 and 1998 respectively. Supporters of the Gang of Four, including Chen Boda and Mao Yuanxin, were also sentenced. Little Gang of Four: in the struggle between Hui Guofeng's and Deng Xiaoping's followers, a new term emerged, pointing to Hui's 4 closest collaborators, Wang Hongwen, Wu De, Ji Donghui and Chen Xilian. In 1980, they were charged with grave errors in the struggle against the Gang of Four and demoted from the political bureau to mere Central Committee membership. See also, Soviet Union's anti-party group, external links, Trial of China's Gang of Four, BBC, references.